introduction into real estate, as well as teach you some things that I've learned along the way, so that you can hopefully learn from my failures and start more quickly than I did. But I always start every class that I teach the same way, and that is asking you, what is it that you want to learn today, or what questions do you have today that I can answer so that you feel like this was time invested instead of time spent. So what questions do you have for me, or what is it that you guys want to get out of today?
Question. We do blogging for a broker. The housing market's looking really awesome lately. I think it just feels to a lot of people like it might not be the best time to jump into this.
Okay.
Like,
So timing of getting into real estate, we're going to talk about that today. Because what you're going to find is some people, or they, never think it's a good time to get in. You know, like when I got in, I got my license. I lived in Kansas City. The day after I got my license, Sprint was internationally headquartered, it still is, where I lived, and laid off 3,000 people the day after I got my license. Holy cow. So then I made the decision I'm going to move to Wichita in October of 2008. You guys remember what happened in October of 2008? Financial meltdown. 3,000 people lost their job a week after I was there. I started to think I was the kiss of death. So timing is something that I will talk to you about, and also some of the limited beliefs that you're going to hear from people when you tell them that you're going to get into real estate. So I'll talk about that. What other things do you guys want to get out of today?
Like what the next steps are, so you get through school and then you sign on with someone, and how do you learn, like, you know, the school doesn't teach you all about home listings, and, you know, just what are the next steps?
Okay, so after school steps.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to call that first 90 days. What do you do your first 90 days after you get your license? You have a license to kill. Now it's time to do what? So we'll talk about that. What other things do you guys want to get out of tonight?
The difference between being in a team and being on your own.
Oh, great. Should I join a team or should I go out on my own?
Do you mean to say a cooperative?
Teams, like broker, associate broker, those kind of things.
Okay, we'll talk about that. Because I've been on both. I've been on my own, I've been on a team. So I can tell you what the benefits and the downfalls are to each one. What other questions do you guys have? Is that it? So if I cover these three things, you all are going to feel like this was an hour invested rather than an hour spent.
Well, so what are some of the things that Keller Williams will offer? I mean, what's the sales package, the sales pitch?
So what is, why Keller Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
Over anywhere else.
All right, we'll talk about that. And I'm sure Tony, who's the team leader here, will also touch on that as well.
how realistic is it to continue the work that we're doing now and go through the school?
So go through the school or start a career. So if you're just finishing the school.
Well, no, I'm thinking of, like, if I'm working my current job and starting the school.
Okay.
Is that a realistic goal, or should I quit my job?
I think it's a realistic goal. It all depends on how effective you are at managing your time. If you're good at managing your time, then I don't think you'll have any problem at all. If you stink at it, you're probably going to have some roadblocks, but you can get through that. What else? Is that it?
Questions will come as you go through.
Right. Okay, and I'll stop for questions. You guys, I get really excited sometimes when I teach, so if I'm going too fast, just raise your hand, tell me to slow down, whatever. Okay? The first thing that I want to talk to you about is I want to congratulate each and every one of you for being here. Because I believe that the people in this room, you've proved that you're an entrepreneur, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And to me, you're one of the few who do rather than many that talk. Because everybody talks about having a great life or changing a career or really going for a goal, but very, very few people do. I read a study recently where only 10% of people read past the first chapter in a book. 10%. Now, I don't really know why that is, but I think it's because, you know, most people would rather think about something rather than take action. So I want to congratulate you guys for being here. I think that that's awesome. You know, you're on the first step to, you know, potentially a career in real estate. So that's awesome. Now, the other thing I want to talk to you about is a book. And it's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Now, if you don't have a copy of this book, I would suggest that you get it. Now, if you're not a reader, in today's great age of technology, you can go to audible.com and download the Audible or the audio version of it. You can get the CDs and play them in your car. Whatever it is, you guys, if you're considering a career in real estate, go get that book and read it. And pass the first chapter, please. Read the whole thing. I've read that book 5 times. My goal is to read it 13 times in my career. It's basically Gary Keller. Gary Keller is the president of the board. He's the founder of Keller Williams. And what he did is he went out and interviewed the top agents across the country. And to qualify to be one of those agents, you had to earn at least $1 million in gross commission income every single year. These are the people who are the top 1%. Okay? And so what he did is he went out and interviewed him, and he started to notice that there's a principle called success leaves clues. And he started to notice what all these people did and what they had in common. And he documented it, and he condensed it all, and he put it into a book, and it's called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. So step 1 for you guys, read that book. He wrote it for us, and it's great. And you'll learn so much from it, and it's kind of timeless, because I think it was written in '04, and it still is up with today. So read The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Now, scary fact. 80% of people who get in this business will not still be selling real estate after 18 months. 80% are out in the first 18 months. Now, I believe that there are 3 reasons for that, and I'm going to talk to you about that right now. I'm not trying to scare you. Well, a little bit, but not a lot, because this is something that you can avoid by avoiding these 3 pitfalls. Number 1, they have bad lead generation habits. Anytime you get into a business, and I don't care if you're in real estate, I don't care if you're selling clothes online, whatever it is, you get into 2 businesses when you go into business. The first one is the product or service that you sell. So that, in our case, would be real estate service, right? That's what we sell here. The other thing is getting clients. A lot of people get their real estate license and then think that all these people who are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate just come out of the walls and start telling them that they need their help. It doesn't happen. You've got to become a Jedi at going out and finding clients. The people who do that, if you can master that skill, you will make it. I promise you, you'll make it. Lead generation is the most important thing that we do here. And top agents do it anywhere between 2 to 4 hours every single day. I lead generate every day 4 hours. Whether it's for a team here or a team in Wichita, 4 hours is what I do. I spend 4 hours of my day looking for new clients. Because here's the thing, you guys. When somebody thinks of real estate and that they need real estate service, you need to be the person that pops into their mind, right? Your success in real estate is directly correlated to how many people, when they think of real estate, they think of you. Now, I need a volunteer. Does anybody want to volunteer? What's your name?
Lindsay.
Lindsay. Lindsay, I want you to name as many brands of toothpaste as you possibly can, starting now. Go.
West, Colgate, Brush.
Okay, stop. How many did she get out before she had to think about it? 3. She is actually better at this than most people. 95% of people only get out 2. Okay? What I'm trying to illustrate here is that if you're not number 1, 2, or 3. In Lindsay's mind, when she thinks about real estate, you don't exist. Same with toothpaste, right? Each one of us only has 2 to 3 spots in our minds for any particular brand or product. So your goal when you get into real estate is to get as many people as possible that when they think of real estate, they think of Lindsay. So lead generation habits are the #1 reason I believe that most people don't make it in this industry. The second one is ineffective time management. The very reason that gets most of us into this business is the very reason that takes most of us out. I want to be flexible. I want to be my own boss. That's great. I do too. I hate being told what to do. But that is a double-edged sword because there's nobody telling you what time to get to the office every day. There's nobody telling you that you need to make your calls. There's nobody holding your feet to the fire. When I first got into real estate, I'd wake up at 10, roll in the office at like 11, home by 4:30. I was broke, but I was like, this is great. I learned pretty quickly that that's not the case. So you have to be someone who can really self-motivate because there is no one who is going to hold your feet to that fire. Now, you can hire a coach, like Larry's a coach, and helps people, holds them accountable to their goals, but most of it's going to have to come from you. So that flexibility thing is, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. Now, the last one is they're not learning-based. Most people in America think that once you finish high school or finish college, you're done learning and it's time to earn, right? Do you think that it is any coincidence that 2% of the people in this country control the majority of the wealth? It's not because they're chosen. It's because of how they think. You ask any big producer in any business at all, and they'll tell you that the schooling never stops. They learn forever. They keep going forever. They're always looking for ways to enhance things, to learn more, and take more action. Now, the thing about being learning-based, you guys, is that you have to learn for doing's sake, not learning for knowing's sake. Because we've all heard that old phrase, it's overused, but knowledge is power. Knowledge is potential power. I know agents who are more skilled and can handle better transactions and are maybe doing, 15 to 20 deals a year versus somebody who can barely sign their name that's doing 200 deals a year. He's mastered lead generation. She hasn't. But the whole thing is here that you have to be learning based. It's more important than almost any other skill other than lead generation, in my opinion. Because there's been agents that I've seen that come into the office and they may be off the charts at selling because this is a sales position. Like it or not, that's what it is. I think salespeople have gotten a bad rep from a very minor minority. But salesmanship is something that can be learned. Now, there are people who are naturally charming or influential. There was one guy that walked in my office a year ago. His name was Jonathan. He was my age. This guy blew everybody away. I mean, he was tall, handsome, in a suit. He said all the right things. Everybody really liked him. He was the next big thing. I had people telling me in my office, you better look out. He's going to knock you off your pedestal. I'm like, I'm not competing with him. But here's the deal. Jonathan thought he knew everything. Jonathan thought that nobody else could tell him, how to do his business. He knew everything. And within a year, Jonathan is no more. I don't even know where he is. Talent-wise, Jonathan was here, and I'm here. But when it came to learning, I killed him. And that skill was much more valuable when it came to longevity in this career. So be a lifelong learner. Learn to love to read or listen or whatever. I tell people that I'm coaching, join Automobile University. That is, most of us drive around in our cars and we have this amazing opportunity to learn and feed our minds, and most of us are listening to music or the news. We all get stuck in Denver traffic a lot here, right? I'm kind of like that. But you can learn a lot while you're in your car. Feed your mind. Get something good. And never, ever continue or quit learning. Does anybody have any questions about any of that? Those are what I think are the 3 big reasons why most people don't make it. And I promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, and I think anybody else who is in my shoes would say the same thing, you learn how to lead generate in this business, you will make it. You will make it, and you'll make it big. Nothing else is as important as lead generation. Nothing. Not in real estate. Next one. The 4 beliefs I think that you need to adopt in order to maximize your real estate career. Number 1, absolute belief in self. You've got to have a belief in yourself that you will do this, that you can do this. I think that most people, if your friends were to talk to you the way that you talk to yourself, would you still be friends with them? Most of us are our own worst critic. We are so mean to ourselves. It is not productive. And here's the thing, you guys. I've seen agents, I'm practically a dinosaur. I've been in for 6 years. 80% of people are out in 18 months. I've been around for a long time, I guess you could say. I've seen a lot of agents get in this business to make money because they think money will give them something, change their life, whatever. I was one of those people. I got in, I made a lot of money, I did really well, but I was still miserable because I didn't like who I was. And what I learned is that you can never consistently perform in a manner that is inconsistent with how you see yourself. How you see yourself is how you will perform. You have to win in private before you can win in public. You've got to pay the price of success with yourself first. Because I can promise you that no amount of sales, no amount of money is going to make you happy. Money actually magnifies who you are. If you're a jerk, money makes you a bigger jerk. If you're a kind, giving, compassionate soul, money gives you more power to put out more feelers to help more people, right? So, win with you first. One of the best ways that I've found to do this, you guys, is from a book. It's called Think and Grow Rich. After you read Millionaire Real Estate Agent, you need to read Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich was a book written by Napoleon Hill back in like the 30s or 40s. And this is the only book that since the day it was published has sold over 1 million copies every single year. And in that book, it explains to you a systematic way to develop self-confidence, that belief in yourself. Because you guys, this precedes every other ounce of success. If you're not okay with you, then it will come back and bite you. You have to pass what I call the mirror test. The mirror test is when you are standing in a mirror, it's just you, no one else is around, and you're naked, and you're looking at yourself in the mirror. You're not playing wife, you're not playing husband, mom, father, whatever. It's just you. What is the quality of that conversation? Because that is the quality of your life. If that is a bad conversation, start there. Figure out why it's bad. Make corrections. But that's where you start. Because I didn't, and I paid dearly for it. Because I thought I would go out and hit all these goals and people would have to like me and I would have all this success. And I did, but I felt like a hypocrite because I was like at home just miserable. So pay the price with you first. Everybody understand that? I know this is deep, but I promise you, these are principles. And this is a principle that plays true in real estate or any other business that you get into. After the thousands of hours of study into human behavior and success and things that I've done, these are things that bleed out of everything that I read. Now the second one is belief in your purpose. Why you're here. Because when you were born, everyone in this room was given a purpose. The second that thing, whether you call it God, the universe, the source, whatever it is, the second it told you to breathe, you were handed a purpose. And your only goal in life is to figure out what that purpose is and get about the business of doing it. Now, real estate might fund that purpose. It may be your purpose to help people get into their biggest investment ever and do it wisely. Or get out of a bad situation where they're upside down on a house and it's costing them a lot of money. But you've got to start with why. Why do you want to be in this business? Most people start with how. How do I make a bunch of money? Don't focus on the how. Focus on what the money will give you. What a different career path will give you. Because if you focus on what you want and focus on it intensely to the point where it becomes an obsession, like it's like consuming your mind, the how will show up every time. I promise you. Reasons come first, results come second. And the second that you have more reasons to succeed than you do excuses is when you take massive action. It's at that point. And it's not a day, it's a second. It happens that quick. So like my big why. One of them, and you can stack them, there's several reasons why you should succeed, but the biggest one for me is when I was 22 years old, I promised my dad he would never live in a nursing home. I promised him that. He probably doesn't even remember it. He probably doesn't remember what he did yesterday. But I promised him that. And I think about it. Because if I don't want to follow through, I don't want to make my lead generation calls, I don't want to go out and do the things that make me uncomfortable, I think about him sitting in a nursing home in a wheelchair and the shame and guilt and helplessness I would feel if I had let him down. So I use that pain to drive me. And it works. Because a vision will pull you through almost anything. Another great book is called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. This guy was put into a Nazi concentration camp for 4 years. Endured things that, I mean, it's inhumane. I mean, it's terrible. But he said that out of that experience, what he figured out is that a man or woman with a big enough why can endure almost any how. So start with why. Why do you want to get into this business? Because if you get enough reasons to succeed, you will do it. Most of us live in that, like, I know I should work out, I should go in and make my lead generation calls, I should make a career change that's a little bit more fulfilling for me or gives me the flexibility that I want. And they should all over themselves. And then they live shitty lives. True? You got to turn your shoulds into musts, because once that happens, you take action. And that's what we can teach you at Keller Williams. We can teach you all the action that you need. I can teach you a lead generation plan that will work and generate as much income as you want. But I can't teach you your why. I can't give you the reason why you open your eyes in the morning with the fire in your belly. You've got to figure that out. And it's already in you. You just have to uncover it. It's your purpose. Now, number 3. Belief in product. What you're selling. If you don't believe, if you're a Chevy dealer driving a Ford, you're a hypocrite, right? So you got to believe that what you're selling is actually helping someone, because if you don't believe it, you're going to have a real hard time convincing somebody else that they should, right? So you've got to believe in what you're selling. And in this case, it's real estate service. And you guys, I can show you in 5 seconds how you can become better than probably 60% of the agents in this city. Would you guys like to know how? Answer your phone. Answer your phone and return a phone call. That's how you become better than 60% of them. You guys, the untrained agents in this marketplace, it's not their fault other than they didn't seek knowledge. You guys, they have people who call on their houses asking to buy a house and they don't return their calls. They're in the middle of a hot negotiation with another agent and they don't answer their phone. Ask Tony, answering your phone, big thing. You're a new agent, you guys. You make up with what you don't know with enthusiasm. And what's nice about Keller Williams, one of the main reasons that a lot of people come here, is because we have a non-competing team leader. Tony doesn't sell. So when I first got into real estate, I would tell people, you know, I haven't been in real estate long, but I've got my team leader who's been in for 15 years, and she is available anytime I need her. So really, you're getting 2 agents for the price of 1. And here, you also have Larry, who's the career development head. See, I've got Larry and I've got Tony. Between those 2 guys, they probably have 50 years of real estate experience, plus you're getting an enthusiasm of somebody who's got their first day on the job. You're getting 3 agents for the price of 1. Do you guys see how that might be able to get you some appointments and listings? Good. Okay, so belief in product. And the last one, number 4, there is no such thing as failure. Failure occurs when you give up. That is failure. You ask anybody who's achieved something major and they'll tell you that you fail your way to success. Michael Jordan, said that he's missed over 9,000 shots in his career. Lost 300 games. 26 times he was counted on to make the winning shot and he missed. Now, do we remember Michael Jordan as a loser? No, he was arguably the best basketball player in history. And he says that he succeeded because he failed. And think of the number .333. Do you guys know what that number represents? That's a Hall of Fame baseball player. Somebody who bats 33% is a Hall of Fame baseball player. That means that out of 1,000 at bats, they don't get on base 667 times, and they're the best in the world at what they do. They fail way more than they succeed, right? But nobody ever notices that. Babe Ruth struck out way more times than he ever hit home runs. So failure is not failure unless you quit. And it's just like, I think Abraham Lincoln said it, success is nothing more than moving from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. So get used to it, love it. Stand up, brush yourself off, and move on. I've probably failed 10 times today. I don't really feel like I've had a good day unless I've failed at something, because failure is what you learn from. Because when you fail, you ponder. When you win, you party. Right? Everybody agree with me on that? So learn to fail. It's good for you. Now the next thing is I want to teach you guys something called the ultimate success formula. And this is the formula that you can use to get almost anything that you want in your life. And it has 4 parts. And I know all these things that I keep giving you 4 parts, but this is the way it goes. Ultimate success formula. Number 1, know your outcome. You've got to know what you want. And you've got to get crystal clear on it. Because the more clear you can make it in your mind, the more your subconscious mind will start to work to unveil a plan for you. So know your outcome. Clarity is power. Number 2, take massive action. I have people that they'll say, well, I don't know what to do. Well, what would you do if you did know? Well, I still don't know what to do. Okay, well, what if I held a gun to your head and said, if you don't figure it out, I'm going to pull the trigger? You think you'd figure it out? That's called leverage. So if you don't know what to do what you would do if you did know what to do. The nice thing about coming here is that if you do decide that real estate is for you and you need help in this, we'll give you a plan. We'll show you what to do. But the second step, take massive action. Step 3, notice whether it's working or not. Are you getting the results that you wanted? Is your plan working? Because if not, you need to change it up. And a lot of people think that if you just think positive enough, everything will come true. That is not true. That's a lie. Because if Lindsay here, if I come to Lindsay and say, Lindsay, I need you to drive me from here to Detroit, and I give her a map of from here to Portland, it doesn't matter how positive Lindsay is, she's still going to end up in Portland and not Detroit, right? So positive thinking is not the only answer. Positive thinking is important because you can do everything better with positive thinking than you can with negative, but it's not the only answer. You also need strategy. And the last step is change your approach. Try until. Know your outcome, take massive action, notice whether it's working. If it's not, keep changing it. Keep failing, keep going forward. Do you guys know how many times Thomas Edison failed before he figured out how the light bulb worked? 10,000 times. He said he finally ran out of things that wouldn't work. And that's all we have to do. Run out of things that won't work to get your outcome. Now, the best example of the ultimate success formula that I can give to you guys is babies. A couple gets together, decides they want to have a baby. What's their outcome? Baby, right? Step 2 is to take massive action. Whatever. Step 3, they notice whether it's working or not. Is she pregnant? If she's not, if it's not working, then do people just say, forget it, we're not having a baby? No. They change their approach, right? They go out and they adopt. They find surrogate mothers. They do whatever it is that they need to do to get a baby. but they know their outcome, they take massive action, they notice whether it's working or not, and if it's not, they change their approach until they have the baby. Now, there is another very important lesson in this. Do we have any moms in the room? Great, lots of moms. So let me ask you a question. When you decided to have a baby or were pregnant, were you focusing on that moment when you finally got to hold and meet your baby and that connection that you would feel with him or her? Or were you focusing on getting fat, going to the doctor, not being able to sleep, all of those things? What were you focusing on? The baby, right? The outcome. Failures focus on what you have to go through. Getting fat, going to the doctor, medical bills, all of those things. Successful people focus on the result, the baby. And if you've had a baby, you already know how this works, right? You already know how to focus on a result. Do the same thing in real estate. It carries over. So does everybody understand how that works? Clear as mud? Good. Okay, now if you're going to make it in real estate, there's one thing that you got to learn to love, and it's rejection. Learn to love rejection. Because rejection is one of the main reasons that real estate agents get paid so much, you guys, because we handle an absorbent amount of rejection. I get rejected a lot, every day. That's okay, I'm okay with it, because I have taken rejection to a different perspective in my mind. Because look at this. If it takes me, if every time I sell a house, oh, my pen's done. You guys can write this down. If every time I sell a house, I earn $6,000. Okay. So for every yes I get, I earn $6,000, okay? One yes. And it takes me 29 people telling me no to get to one yes. How I do this is I add the no's and yeses together, I get 30. Divide 30 into 6,000, you get 200. So for every time somebody tells me no, they just paid me $200. Do you see how that changes your perspective on it? So if somebody yells at me and says, oh, blah, 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 you know, rejects me, says no, I'm like, thanks for the $200, jerk. Click. But that's how you change your perspective on it. And it works. You know, another story that I have about this is one time my wife and I, Rochelle, were in it's like a little breakfast place in Wichita. Like the area we're in is kind of comparable to like Wash Park here. And I'm watching this waitress, and there's 9 tables in the room. Now she goes to 8 straight tables, including ours, and asks if they want coffee. 8 straight tables told her no. Table number 9 said, yes, I want coffee. Now, there are 2 very important lessons in this. Number 1, do you think that that waitress felt rejected every time somebody told her no, she didn't want coffee? No. Why not? If you're sitting at dinner and you're stuffed full and somebody comes up and asks you if you want dessert and you tell them no, do you think they go back in the kitchen and sulk? Probably not. Right? Because they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting your offer. I like her, she's nice, I just don't want coffee. Now the other rule is what if she would have stopped on number 8? Number 9 wouldn't have gotten his coffee, right? Might have left a little upset. See, most agents quit on the 5-yard line. They swim halfway across the Atlantic, figure out they can't make it, and swim back. And that's how most agents really generate, because they can't handle rejection. They haven't learned this formula. This works, you guys. If you look at it as every time somebody's telling you no, that they're actually sticking money in your pocket, don't you learn to love the word no? It works for me. And the nice thing is about it, you guys, these conversions, the longer you're in it, the better you get at it, the more money you make for talking to less people. You become more efficient. It's great. So, real estate schools, you guys, they teach you how to pass the test. 90%, I'd say, that you learn in there, you'll never use in real estate. You just won't. The number one skill that you need to learn as an agent is what? Lead generation. Lead generation. Gary Keller, who's the top of this company, you go down to Austin and see him speak live. This guy has, the fastest growing real estate company in the nation right now. And he says the same thing every time we go down there. Lead generation, lead generation, lead generation. So I want to talk to you guys about some of the things that you can do to lead generate. The first one you had mentioned is your SOI, which stands for your sphere of influence. These are the people that you know. People that like you, that trust you. Your brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, your dentist. The best way to develop this list, you guys, is get a copy of the yellow pages, go through the yellow pages, and under every single industry, write down who you know. And the way that people make it into my SOI or are considered a member of my SOI is if I ran into them in the store, would we know who each other is and say hello? Because we all have, I have Facebook friends that if I see, I'm like, oh God, hope they don't see me. So these are people who know I can trust you. So that's usually the fastest source to finding business, is to let those people know that you've gotten into real estate and that you'll be calling them to ask them who they know that means to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. Your SOI. Another tactic, open houses. I already kind of touched on that. Now, a lot of agents will tell you that open houses don't work. I believe that it's because most agents don't work open houses. They all sound the same. It's vanilla. So when I tell a team member of mine or somebody that I'm coaching on doing an open house, 15 signs out the Friday before the open house pointing to the open. The day of, tie balloons on each one of those signs. Door knock and personally invite the neighbors. Run it on Facebook, run it on Craigslist, run it on Realtor.com, every single avenue that you can. And then when people come in, come up with something that sounds different than what every other agent is doing. You guys aren't agents right now. You could be doing some serious espionage on the agents who are out there holding open houses, right? You could be going to open houses and collecting ideas right now. Do it. But one of the best ways that I found was, people don't want to be bothered. It's kind of like when you walk into a retail store and somebody walks up to you and they ask you if you need help with anything. What do you always tell them? I'm just looking. So what I did is I said, okay, I know you probably don't want to talk to me. I understand. Here's the information on the house. Also, I wanted to let you know, if you would like a free report on the top 5 sources for you to find good deals in this market, let me know. I'd be happy to email it to you. And so I just created this report. I'll give it to you guys. You can have it. And it's just a report on how they can go out and find good deals in the market. And people love that stuff because it's useful. And it's not, I have honesty, I have integrity. So you sound like every other agent out there. Now, some other things. Expired listings. If Lindsay and I enter into an agreement, I'm going to sell Lindsay's house. She gives me 90 days to do it, and I don't sell it in 90 days. The house comes off the MLS, and it is free game. Any agent can call on it and try to convince those people to list with you. A lot of people don't like expireds because it's cold calling. Whereas calling your SOI, that's warm, right? They already know you. So expireds are a great source for business. And the nice thing about expireds, you guys, a lot of agents are scared of them, but a lot of times it's just a few minor tweaks in the price or condition of the home that can get that property sold. Just something small. It's not sometimes it's a major thing, but most often it's not. Another great, go ahead.
I just had a question on that expired listing thing. When you call people to say, your listing's expired or you're looking for a new agent, do you run into people who are, a little bit turned off by their previous agent because the house wasn't sold?
Yeah, all the time. But one rule that I've learned really quickly that I think our presidential candidate should take on into effect too is you never bash your competition. But you can talk to them and just say, if they say, well, I wasn't happy with my last agent, great, well, how did you choose him? Well, I was referred to him. What do you feel that agent could have done better? So then that just gives you a blueprint of how you're going to tailor your presentation to these people, right? So expired listings is a great source.
Where do you find expired listings?
You can find them in the MLS.
Okay.
There's also programs out there that will find them for you. RedX is one. Vulcan 7 is a better one, but Vulcan 7 is $300 a month. Vulcan 7 will find cell phone numbers, which is awesome. But RedX is a much less costly investment. It's only about 80 bucks a month. So, for sale by owners, there's a lot of people out there who put for sale by owner signs in their front yards, right? You guys, for sale by owner stands for fastest source of business opportunity. These people are raising their hand saying, I want to sell. And 98% of agents will never call them. I don't get it. I built my career calling for sale by owners. I think that they are the gravy train of my business. They are so easy. But most agents will never call them. I mean, expireds and for sale by owners, in my opinion, are the hardest to do as far as a sales approach. You have to be have much better sales skills than the other ones. But man, you guys, it's great because you can wake up on a Monday and have no appointments, and by the end of the day, by the end of the week, have 5. It's hard to do that with an SOI type marketing or anything else. So social media, that's another thing that's becoming huge right now. It's just an avenue for touching people. But I know an agent in Wichita who is 95% of his business is coming off of social media. But this guy is a total weirdo. I mean, he goes to like, his brand is him dressed up in a Superman outfit. I mean, he's different. I mean, he goes to restaurants and writes reviews on them. Like the one I read today, the first picture is him. It's a picture of him looking through the security cameras. I mean, it's just weird stuff, but people love him. And he's 95% referral off of his social media. So that's one route. Blogging. That's a great source. If you know how to keywords, if you know how to get yourself pushed up on search engine optimization. Video is another one that a lot of people are really prone to right now, because what do Americans want to do? They want to watch TV, they want to read books. And what is the big phenom in TV that came along about 10 years ago? Reality. So the more real your video is, generally the more people like it. So video is another great source. Networking, where you go out like the Chamber of Commerce or any Toastmasters, any of those, Rotary Club. There's a lot of different clubs that you can join that are business owners that you can network at. Door knocking. Door knocking is a lost art. Nobody likes to do it anymore, including me. But when I first started in real estate, I didn't have any money and I didn't know a soul. It was the only way I knew to get out of where we were until I learned for sell by owners. So door knocking is a great source if you have the time. Farming, that's where you pick a specific geographic or demographic and start sending them some stuff in the mail, or you can buy email lists and market to them that way. The thing is that there's a difference between prospecting and marketing. Prospecting is picking up the phone, asking for the business. The benefits of prospecting is usually it's very low cost and it's highly effective as far as getting appointments now. The downside to prospecting, it's very time intensive. It takes a lot of time. Like this morning I called for 3 hours, I only talked to 16 people. But of those 16, I set 3 listing appointments. So it works. Now marketing is high cost, usually. It's getting lower and lower and lower as technology gets faster. But high cost, it's not real quick. It's not immediate like prospecting is. But it requires a lot less time. That's a machine that can run on its own without you having to do it. When you're first starting out, you want to be prospecting based and marketing enhanced. You need to be on the phone or out meeting people. But the most important thing that I want you guys to get out of here is that you need to play to your strengths. Like for me, I'm not a networking guy. If you put that, believe it or not, I'm not a highly social person. I mean, you put me in a room with 50 people in it, I'm going to talk to the 3 that I know. Whereas my old team leader, Penny Johnson, you put her in a room with 50 people, she's going to know everybody and their kids in 15 minutes. But see, networking doesn't work for me. But see, on the other side of the coin, Penny would rather screw her toes to the floor than make a single cold call, which I can do all day long. So play in your strength zone. I mean, if you don't like cold calling, it makes your stomach flip, you just hate it, don't do it. Find something else that you will do. The most important lead generation tactic is the one you'll do. So figure that out. And we have a great class here at Keller Williams called 36-12-3. And what that stands for, 36 transactions in 12 months doing 3 hours of lead generation. And I've taught this class before, it's great. Every single week is a different lead generation tactic, so that you can really come in and sit down and figure out which one will work best for you. But when you come into this business, you need to stay in your strength zone and out of your comfort zone. In your strength zone, but out of your comfort zone. And if you don't know what your strengths are, there's a great book, Strength Finder 2.0. Just Google it. You can buy the book for like 12 bucks. And then you go and take this test. You have to buy the book new because there's a code in each book that allows you to take the test. But then you take that test, and it will give you like a 10-page printout of what your strengths are. Because you need to know what they are. Most people will spend their entire lives making up for chinks in their armor instead of enhancing their strengths. When you're trying to make up for chinks in your armor, you'll become mediocre at best. When you focus on your strengths, you can become world-class at something. It's just like Josh, the guy I used to work with. Hates numbers, can't stand it. But Josh is one of the most personable people I know. He's amazing in appointments. So when it comes at that monthly point when we pull the statistics on the market, Josh isn't going to be the guy that does it. It's me. I love numbers. They make sense to me. We play in our strength zone. So I encourage you to go out and check that out to see if it's it was a totally eye-opening to me. So the question that you need to be, if as a new agent in your first 90 days, the things that you need to be focusing on are getting clients immediately. Lead generation. Now a lot of agents will say, I need my business cards, I need this, I need that. Just start. And there's something that you need to develop, and it's your unique value proposition or your unique selling proposition. And it is the answer to this question. Why should I choose to do business with you versus any and every other option available to me in your category? So if I come to one of you and I ask you why I should choose you over another agent, you need to be able to have something compelling and you, out of your mouth within 15 to 30 minute time sprint. So it's not like this big giant thing. But like mine was, when people would ask me why they should hire me, say, well, if you look at the multiple listing statistics, they show that I'm getting my sellers $4,247 more at the closing table above the average agent, and I'm doing it in 17% less time. You do want to save time and money, don't you? Yes, great. That's why you should choose me. Other people, their UVP is, I'll sell your house in 59 days or I'll buy it. That's a unique selling proposition. There's several of them out there. But I can tell you what doesn't work. I have integrity, I'm honest, I work harder than everybody else. Because those are givens, you guys. And people have been beaten to death with marketing and everything else out there, so you've got to sound different. One of the top agents in Wichita where I was, his was, I'll sell your house in 39 days or I'll lower my commission every day until I sell it. I don't really like that one, but he got a lot of calls on it. So I encourage you, before you even get into real estate, this is something that will take you a long time to develop because it's something that is continuous. But what is your unique value proposition? Why should I choose you versus every other option I have in your field? Because the people who can answer that question clearly and concisely are usually the top agents in the field. Everybody understand that? Clear as mud? Good. You guys, if you want more on that, there's a great guy that I found that has tons of information on it. His name is Dan Kennedy. Just Google Dan Kennedy. He's got tons of websites. sales, and everything else. Now, somebody asked me about timing, about when is the proper time to get into real estate.